Thank you for tuning in to the wine tasting portion of Bachanalia, the wine and music experience from the people that bring us Bach Week Festival, coming to you virtually in 2020. My name is Mike Baker, and I'm the buyer and manager of Vin Chicago, a fine wine merchant with 3 locations in Chicago, Highland Park, and Barrington. You can learn about our 87-year family history and about the specially procured wines we offer at vinchicago.com. It's my distinct pleasure to present 5 wines to you, each paired with the different musical pieces performed by the wonderful musicians in this year's Bachanalia. As with all wine tasting events, the challenge is to assemble a progression of wines that match not only the theme of the event, but works as a progression on your palate. It's often customary to move from one wine to the next without overwhelming the palate or the wine that follows. I believe these 5 wines, moving from sparkling to dry white to rosé, then red, finishing with a slightly sweet white, will be pleasing to those that play along. At least it worked out for me that way. If you'd like to join us in drinking these wines while listening along with the musical pieces, simply click the link to be taken to Vin Chicago's website. A bit about the theme. As you know, Bachanalia celebrates Bach Week Festival and the music of J.S. Bach and other famed Baroque composers. For the 5 different musical selections at this year's Bachanalia, I've picked 5 European wines. As we listen to the music, we'll virtually travel to the wine regions of Austria, Italy, France, and of course, Germany. Each wine selected today was grown and produced within 1,000 kilometers of the city of Bach's birth, Eisenach, Germany. And before we begin, if you don't have these exact wines to drink, as you listen to these brilliant musicians perform this timeless music, don't worry. Anything delicious to drink will work. This is different for all of us, so let's have fun with it. With that, let's begin. For the opening wine, paired with the inspiring Orgel Buchlein organ pieces performed by Richard Webster, I thought we'd enjoy a deliciously fresh, sparkling wine from Austria. The Ziggity Brut, crafted from the Gruner Veltliner grape, hails from the Burgenland region of Austria, located just about 60 kilometers southeast of Vienna, very close to the Hungarian border. Though the sparkling wines of Champagne are the greatest and most famous in the world, they're also the most expensive. The whole world produces high-quality sparkling wines. And though France, Italy, and Spain do it most famously, some of the best bubblies for my money are quietly produced in Austria. This wine is crafted using the traditional method, the same process observed in Champagne. This basically means the fermentation that causes the bubbles, a separate process that occurs after the initial alcoholic fermentation, takes place in the bottle the wine is eventually sold in. The Gruner Veltliner grape is grown here and there, but is almost exclusively known as an Austrian grape. We love this wine as the perfect way to begin any gathering of friends, as it's delicious all by itself. It would also be quite enjoyable paired with sushi, lighter poultry dishes, or emotionally powerful organ music. Next, for two moving Bach cello pieces, I've selected a dry white from northeastern Italy's Veneto region. The 28 Soave, is based on a grape called Garganega, which, like most of the 1,000 plus different Italian grapes turned into wine, is basically limited to the growing region of Soave, west of Venice, just east of Verona, Romeo and Juliet's hometown. As with many Italian white wines, Soave tends not to be overly fruity or flowery, but functional and versatile. When I listen to how effectively the cello communicates these two entirely different compositions, one beautifully melancholy, the other building, racing, erratic, and how the cello can communicate such different themes so powerfully, I think of how one wine might fill multiple roles. That of a simple beverage that washes our food down that can be enjoyed with little to no thought, and how that same wine can deliciously communicate the very place that it was grown and produced. This 2018 Soave gives citrus and orchard fruit flavors with hints of stone fruit, yellow flowers, and a salty minerality. Medium-bodied, clean, and bright, this functional, authentic dry wine would be perfect with shellfish, pesto, or creamy dishes. Next, we're gifted with the Black Oak Ensemble and the famed Goldberg variations. Sounds like pink wine to me. With most tasting progressions that include a dry pink wine, from my perspective, it seems most logical to squeeze the wine between the dry white and red wines. You may have noticed the increased popularity of pink wines over the last few years. As a wine lover, this is something I'm very happy with. While there are more dry pink wines in the market now than ever before, I'm confident that none watching have tasted a rosé from the Lorraine region of France. Though this wine is entirely obscure, I'm a really big fan. The 2019 Le Livre Rosé from the Côte de Toul appellation, the cute little bunny on the label, is made from 90% Gamay and 10% Pinot Noir. Lorraine sits adjacent to the Alsace region of northeast France, bordering Germany. On your next trip to Paris, make sure to plan a visit to Alsace and Lorraine. The food, people, architecture, and of course the wine make for a magical experience. While dry rosé is often thought of as a spring-summer wine, it's actually incredibly versatile at the table year-round. In fact, we really like to recommend quality dry rosé like this taut, light red fruited bottling with Thanksgiving dinner. It also pairs perfectly with the wonderfully familiar melodies of the Goldberg variations. Here we are with our fourth selection in our first red wine, paired with two lovely tunes from Bach's Notebook to Anna Magdalena. We head back to Austria and the 2016 Nadler Zweigelt. Robert Nadler is the third generation of his family's small estate to produce wine. He farms a modest 10 hectares in the Carnuntum region of Austria, just a 35-minute drive southeast from Vienna. While Austria is best known for white wines from Riesling and Gruner Veltliner, they also bottle earthy reds from a handful of grapes. The two most noble reds are Blaufränkisch and Saint Laurent, the latter being a descendant of the Pinot Noir grape. In the 1920s, these two grapes were crossed by grape scientist Fritz Zweigelt. Today, the Zweigelt grape is the most planted red grape in all of Austria, and the second most planted grape in total, second only to Grüner Veltliner. Wines made from Zweigelt tend to be earthier, brighter, and slightly more fuller versions of Pinot Noir at similar price points. Checking in at lower alcohol levels than most red wines, never overly complex, with most bottlings imported to the U.S. consistently reliable. This offering from Nadler is an excellent everyday red wine, especially at the table. Though pleasantly fruity with subtle floral tones, this wine presents a gritty structure that places it more comfortably as a food wine than a cocktail wine. Roasted vegetables, duck, lamb, turkey, or hearty soups would find a friend with this well-made red. Enjoy it with the beautiful vocal and harpsichord performances from Notenbüchlein. Lastly, our fifth and final wine brings us to Germany and the historic Rheingau region. Weingut Johannes Leitz is a respected grower in Rüdesheim, the famed steep-sloped wine village at the eastern end of the Rhine River's Rheingau region. These days, sweet whites from Germany aren't very fashionable. Though, as a fan of the wines and an unofficial ambassador for the historically important, nobly sweet wines of Germany, it's my duty to sing the praises of these very special bottles at every opportunity. This particular bottling, the 2017 Rüdesheimer Riesling Spätlese, comes from a vineyard called Magdalenenkreuz. This would have been perfect with the previous piece dedicated to Bach's second wife, Anna Magdalena. But alas, we must finish with the sweet wine. It is a joyous white, however, with just a hint of sweetness, balanced by refreshing acidity. It's impossible to drink a wine like this and not smile, at least for me. I think tasting it alongside Richard Webster's Organ and Fanny Mendelssohn's Prelude in G major is a perfect way to wrap up Bachanalia 2020. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy these wines as much as I enjoy sharing them with you.